하지 말라. 이 모든 건 우연이 아니니까 우리 완전 달라 baby. 운명을 찾아낸 둘이니까.
Before starting the video, let me warn you that if you're not into theories or taekook, this video is not going to be your cup of tea. So you either have to click away or actually watch the whole thing without feeling biased. This is going to be a little bit long, and I'm going to cover a lot of things that I already mentioned or didn't mention before, in case any of you are new. And this video, just like my other videos, are connected to each other. This video is connected to at least 8 other videos, which is why sometimes you might feel confused if you didn't watch it before, but I'll still try to explain as best as I can. As you can see from the name of the video, it is about the coming out theory I came up with about a couple of weeks ago, and how Big Hit and Korea would react to it if it was actually true. The theory is very out of mind, right? So first let me explain to you where the whole theory even came from, and then we get to Big Hit and Korean culture. Taehyung and Jungkook have a very close bond. I think we all can agree on that. And since the day they debuted, we've seen how happy they are every time they goof around together. But in the past 2 years, starting from middle of 2016, there was a certain tension between them. They had times that they were close, but from what we've seen on camera, there weren't much obvious interactions, and it wasn't our fault either for not seeing it, because a lot of taekook moments started to get cut from BTS contents. We've seen it in run episodes when they had to keep changing seats for no reason, when they would get cut every time they went to each other, when they had to keep away and it was obviously not because they wanted to. We've also seen it in Bon Voyage when the same thing kept happening. We couldn't even see the real length of how they were really doing. For example, once, Jungkook and J-Hope were not allowed to eat. And what we saw was all members buying a lot of good things for Jungkook and J-Hope, and them showing how they all gave it to them. But when it came to Taehyung, they just made it look like Taehyung only bought them some fruits and spent the rest of his money on himself while they were about to starve. But in reality, Taehyung actually spent most of his money on them and couldn't buy the things he wanted for himself because he had to buy them things that they needed. And he only bought himself just chocolate and a noodle that he also bought for Jungkook. Or when they had to share a living room together and with J-Hope, and we never really got the footages of any of them sleeping in that living room. Well, as soon as they changed the rooms in the next house, we got all the footages of everyone just sleeping and everything that happened with them. Things like that happened a lot in Bon Voyage. It was just 2 examples. But the most obvious signs of separation happened in Burn the Stage. Every time Taekook were in the same frame, we couldn't see Taehyung's face. Sometimes we could hear his voice. And even when Jungkook was sick and Taehyung looked clearly worried in all our fan cams in the concert, he still wasn't allowed to stay with him. We actually saw them taking Taehyung to an empty dressing room to film Jungkook alone. Then Tae just waited outside his room in the end, but they cut it as soon as Jungkook reached him. It was because most taekook scenes were like that, cutted and torn into pieces, and it was actually very hard to see they even cared about each other. Frankly, I still don't understand why they even had to cut all those scenes from all those contents. But what took me off guard the most was when they suddenly just stopped. And as much as they used to separate them, not only they didn't do it anymore, they also started giving us a lot of taekook sense from the time that separation was happening, and everyone thought taekook weren't even interacting, which showed that yes, they were okay with each other, more than okay. We just couldn't see it on camera. But why suddenly stopping and showing us all that? After January 24th, we started getting a lot of taekook contents while BTS wasn't even active. On January 26th, we saw them going to a hotel only 5 minutes away from their home in Seoul, a hotel that actually needed reservation from at least a month before going there. Obviously, it was an important date for them, so they had to actually book the reservation. When I looked up the dates, I realized it was the same date Jungkook released his Nothing Like Us cover and Taehin released his How Am I Supposed to Live Without You cover last year. Remember, Nothing Like Us is the same cover Jungkook sung like this in front of Tae's room in Bon Voyage when they couldn't sleep together. After that, every time we got any sort of BTS contents, we also got some new taekook moments that were very, very strange compared to before. They used to always cut their sense, and taekook used to try to keep their distance whenever they had to, so the sudden change of behavior was more than visible to a lot of us. They didn't hold back at all anymore. They seemed to be always together and doing things that would make you question what brought up such a change. Even RM, who used to try to keep them away, started putting them together as if he didn't need to do that anymore.
네, 늘 이렇게 좋은 선물을 주신 우리 아미분들, 정말 오늘도 정말 좋은 선물을 받은 것 같아 정말 기분 좋고 정말 감사합니다. 2018년 정말 모든 분들 건강 항상 하고요.
But what suddenly changed in this January around 24th? A few days before that, K-pop got its first openly gay idol with a very beautiful song from Holland called Neverland. This is why it was a very huge thing for Korea, which had no gay idol who was open about it until then. Realistically speaking, at times like that, companies do watch and try to change their policies if things like that actually goes to the right direction. Holland got a lot of positive reviews from inside and outside of Korea from fans, despite being an artist who just debuted recently. Obviously, that can affect companies to overthink some stuffs a lot. Now that we're talking about things that happened after January, it's also interesting to mention Dispatch, a celebrity news website that was rumored more than once that wanted to out some gay celebrities on 2016 and 17 onward. Ironically, Dispatch also started following Big Hit around during the same timeline, and they seem to be everywhere BTS is. But the thing is, they make articles about Jungkook and Taehyung the most, especially after the end of January. They made articles about Taekook on things that weren't even Taekook related, like some run episodes or pictures of BTS on airports. Out of every 10 pictures that they post, at least 6 of them are Taekook related. Once they made a whole article with their pictures, writing nothing but Taehyung and Jungkook, Jungkook and Taehyung. And of course, let's not forget the time they released some pictures of BTS on their Twitter, and a lot of them were Taekook related, and they put rainbows on only Taehyung and Jungkook pictures. Then one of the members posted a picture that even Dispatch didn't dare to post, of Taehyung and Jungkook standing next to each other in front of sunset. Dispatch also reposted it on Instagram with emojis of taking picture, a double heart, and a gay emoji of 2 boys holding hands. Until this day, Dispatch and Big Hit still seem to have the contract and working together, even though a company as big and successful as Big Hit can work with much bigger websites than this. Strangely enough, they still stick together, and Dispatch never stopped its promotion of Taekook. Up till recently, I personally just was very happy to know the separation was over. I thought they would just let them be how they want to be without caring about rumors. Dispatch was also in their side, so there weren't that much trouble for them anyway. But then some new things came up that took me off guard. 4 months ago, if you tell me I'd make a video about them coming out, I would laugh. But here I am today. So for weeks we got this series of Taekook moments that never seemed to get less interesting. And then they did a live to promote their Mnet show. Everyone were giving spoilers about it, everyone were just promoting it, and Jungkook just started talking about something. He said there's something important to say. Jin looked very taken back. Jimin looked so happy and excited. Jungkook just kept smiling at Tae, and RM said it was obvious what it was and said, "I'll allow you to say it." Jungkook paused and then said, "Nah, wait for it." And Jimin looked ready to kick him with a pillow. The thing he wanted to say must have been unexpected since Jin got shocked, yet obvious in a way that RM knew it right away. A good news that made Jimin happy when he wanted to mention it, and something that was important, and also RM had to allow him to talk about it. So it had to be something new. Some fans said it was about his mixtape or his abs, but both of those were things that were mentioned way before all this, so it wasn't much of a surprise or something for RM to allow it, because it was already revealed way before this. Also, Jungkook himself said his mixtape wasn't nearly ready, and he didn't know when he would release it, so it couldn't be about mixtape anyway. If you watch the Mnet show, you'll see that there was nothing about Taehyung or Jungkook or both of them that were important in a way that RM had to allow them to talk about it. So it was odd for him to actually bring it up during the live. But while I was watching the show, I realized something very, very strange. First of all, Taehyung said Fake Love was about them, not their characters, their actual story, their real story. Then they all started talking about what happened during the time they were preparing this album. Members wearing masks. Jungkook said it helped him to learn, and now that he knew how it was, he wanted to enjoy it the fullest. Suga said it was hard not to feel pressured over it, and Jim said they were in a crisis because some members were mentally and physically exhausted, and then the scene showed Taehyung falling down. The lyric of Fake Love is actually very LGBTQ+ friendly. If you listen to Fake Love and read the lyric, you know what I'm saying. For example, it says, "I'm so sick of this fake love." We all know that love between 2 men or 2 women or anything is usually considered that way, fake in a lot of societies. And then it says, love you so bad, love is so mad, which means that despite it being fake love in their eyes, they were still deeply in love. So yeah, it's actually a very LGBTQ plus friendly song because you can actually put it in a character like that. And Taehyung saying that it was actually a story of him and I don't know, maybe the rest of the team or maybe someone else, was very interesting. Even an interviewer in LA emphasized it by coming out on Twitter by saying that BTS helped him in this journey and saying that not fake love in his tweet. I already put all of this, most of this actually, in my previous videos, but even after all that, I wasn't that into the whole theory. But then I got two more things that added to the whole theory that made me think harder about the whole thing. One was what happened in the video we got for Festa. It was actually filmed on April based on what they were saying and their hairstyles. Taehyung said he got a very long message from Suga, a very sad letter that inspired him and told him in the end that he loved him. And Taehyung was so emotional he ended up crying for 10 minutes. The rest of the members said Suga never takes anyone like that, or that long, so they were all surprised. But then Suga said that night he also sent it for Jungkook. He told him he loved him too. It meant whatever it was, whatever was happening, it was about both Jungkook and Taehyung needing support and Suga giving it to them by sending them a sad yet supportive message and telling them that he still loves them. Does it sound a little bit familiar to you? This is what families usually do when they want to just tell their children that no matter what they do, no matter what happens, what kind of emotions they have, they are still loved. The second thing that added to the theory was Jimin's tweet right before the Festa video. You see that hashtag? We had different translations of it because it was an odd hashtag, but some K-Army said what Jimin wrote was, I told you to come out or I'll post this. Most people just shook it off, thinking maybe they were both in a room and Jimin wanted to drag them out, because Korean people usually don't use this phrase. But that really doesn't make any sense for Taekook to just hide in a room and Jimin threatened them to come out of the room or he'll post some pictures. Jimin actually seems to know a lot of slangs like that in a lot of interviews, even without translations. And it wasn't even taken that seriously, but the tag really was odd. Adding this to how excited he was when Jungkook wanted to talk and then just got jokingly mad when Jungkook didn't say anything in that live, maybe he really was telling them to just come out of the closet. Don't forget, Jimin is the same person who once filmed both Taehyung and Jungkook and tagged it with vkook, or that other time when Taehyung just put his name and Jungkook's name in a heart on sand. Jimin just clapped his hand and he was like, Jungkook Taehyung love forever. So it wouldn't be the first time for him to do something like that. So that is how this theory was made. Taekook, who used to be separated, suddenly got closer than ever, and a lot of people started giving them supportive speeches and let them be with each other unlike before, and sent hints about them. Then Jungkook tried to say something that RM had to allow him to say while he was talking about a show that said in their main song it was all about Taehyung and someone else, and how badly it was for them during the time of separation. Even Suga tries to give them both support and tells them that he loves them, and Jimin tweets something like, come out or I'll post these pictures. We never know what might happen, This is just a theory, this might never come true, and this might not be right, or this might be right, but it has enough things to actually back it up. Now let's talk about big hits. If taekook are really a thing and they want to come out, is Big Hit even an agency that allows them to do something like that? Is it even LGBTQ plus friendly?
Can I kiss you, baby girl?
Let me remind you of the first girl group they had, Glam, that debuted with a song like this that talked about kissing a girl, not caring if someone is a girl or a boy, and just caring about the passion and things like that. And it was actually written by Namjoon. It's a company that allows Taeyoung to wear a rainbow shirt in a show and let all members talk freely about their support in LGBTQ plus community. Yes, when things got risky, taekook got separated, but even that stopped as soon as something changed for better. These past a few months seemed to be some sort of test, seeing how people would react if they could just slowly let them come out more. Also, let's not forget that Bang PD actually allowed transgenders to audition for their latest groups, and it's not even all they did. So yes, it actually makes sense for a company like them, who is very LGBTQ plus friendly, to be the first company to let their idols in their group come out and support them once they test the water and see if it goes like how things had been starting in January. So okay, let's imagine that they are a thing and Big Hit will allow them, but there's still some other risks, and one of it is Korean people. Are they really open to LGBTQ plus community?
They might think it's not, they don't think it's bad, but it's not just right. You know what I mean?
It's very conservative society. Yeah.
And,
Offend you? Like kind of make you mad? Like stop calling me gay or?
no.
Because the entertainment industry is surrounded by
True.
people that are gay. Like a lot of YouTubers are gay, a lot of K-pop idols are gay. Sorry, I guess you weren't supposed to know.
It's really hard to open that you're gay.
That's why so many K-pop idols, like the ones that are gay, they can't tell people. They're gay though. I'm not gonna tell you who's gay, but if you think they're gay, you're probably right, more often than not. Not trying to say they're all gay, but you know.
Well, actually, Korean people are not against it, they're just not supporters. But not all of them are like that. Actually, the majority of them try to change that, try to make some changes about LGBTQ plus community. Korea has gay clubs, they have drag queens, they have gay apps, they have all sorts of things like that. They are way more open about these things than a lot of people think. For example, imagine all the countries in Asia, which one of them are as close to accepting LGBTQ plus community as Korea is right now. Maybe they're not the most accepting ones, but they're getting there.
같은 경우를 딱 보니까 다 이렇게 축하해주고
이래 막 이러면서 이제 레즈래 막 이런 식으로 해갖고 걔랑 막 담 쌓고 막 그러는 게 너무 싫어서 그냥 저거 보면서 다 같이 축하해주는 모습이 너무 멋있어가지고 한국도 빨리 그렇게 됐으면 좋겠어요.
너무 행복해 보여서 저희가 안 된다 된다 할 게 아닌 것 같아요.
Personal thought on LGBT people, especially in the K-pop industry.
My good friend Marshall, he's gay and he's also in the K-pop industry. It's very, very progressive, and I really thank them for their bravery. Times are changing right
Yeah.
now, so
For the good,
you know,
for better.
so LGBT community, just do you, stay strong. We got people out here supporting you, so.
And even themselves sometimes say that most of their idols are actually gay and ready to just come out. They're just afraid because they are afraid of the risks. But the risks are actually very normal compared to other places. And not just Korea. As someone who has a channel like this, obviously I come in front of a lot of people who are against the whole idea. But from what I've seen, most people are actually very supportive, and only a couple of them are not good. Like, for example, if 1,000 people view one of my video, one of them is against it, leaves a bad comment, and around 10 or 100 of them are supportive and okay with everything that happens, which is something I think is very interesting. Army is way more open-minded than a lot of us give them credit for. So yes, personally I think the support is way more than hate. It always had been. But it's still a very risky thing, because as much as Korea is trying to grasp it, they still didn't get there. Obviously, a lot of people are not going to like that, a lot of people are going to stop supporting, but it doesn't mean that everyone will do that. Actually, most people will stay. Some changes are meant to happen, and even if BTS is not the one who does it for whatever reason, someone else will, and Korea, just like any other places, is bound to accept the changes. So it's not like the risk is something so out of mind. But it's also very natural to just stay away from all the risks. You can't really blame anyone for that. But don't think that the freedom that some of you have in your countries came out of nowhere. Some people actually stepped up. For example, a few years ago, the same happened when Ellen DeGeneres wanted to come out. America wasn't also that open to the whole idea. She received a lot of backlashes, and it was very, very hard for her. But a lot of people backed her up, and what she did actually opened a door for a lot more celebrities and people to do the same. So yes, it's possible. It happened before, it might happen again. Like, no one knew Adam Lambert was gay before he said it. No one knew Ellen DeGeneres was gay before she said it. And some celebrities actually never say it out loud because either their agency is against it or they just don't want to say it out loud. And sometimes they even end up getting married with people that are not suitable for their body system or mental state because they just don't want to go against the norm. But that's not even the norm, that's what we call norm. But even if that happens, that really doesn't mean everything that happened before wasn't real. And it doesn't mean the person was a coward. It's really hard to actually do something like coming out, especially if you're a very famous person. So what I'm trying to say in this video is that yes, this is how the theory was made, these are most of the reasons, and yes, vkook is actually a very LGBTQ plus friendly company, so it's possible for them to let them do it. And Korea is not as close-minded as some of you think, but yes, it's still very risky, and we're not even sure if they are together. But if they are, if they have feelings for each other, we still can't expect them to come out. But the possibility is there, and they might do it based on the hints they gave us in this past few weeks. Let me finish the video by saying that the same goes for all of you. If you are having problems with sharing a secret about anything, you don't have to do it unless you are actually ready. And you telling it or not telling it doesn't change the fact about what you feel or what you do. And I hope you know that it's okay to have secrets. Your emotions, your being is real. And you deserve to know that you're loved no matter what. I purple you so much. Please take care of yourselves.